Welcome back to Fantastic Pains and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
But we're here together.
As usual.
Indeed. And this month is Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month.
Yay!
So we are here with all the fun times to tell you about why you should consider having EDS.
Maybe it's more about spotting EDS or understanding it.
We're not trying to sell it?
No.
No?
No one's going to buy it.
Oh. Well, I thought there was like a quota. We had to sell it to like so many people.
No, that's a whole
in order
other
to
thing.
get rid of our EDS.
That's not how it works. I've handed it out to 50 people and I still have the EDS. When do my referrals count towards my
my monthly membership?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I've gotten enough people into EDS now.
It goes towards your deductible.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, we're going to be talking about what EDS is, and we'll talk about the month of.
Yep. And kind of things to be looking for. And then some open letter type stuff at the end.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes. If all goes well. We're a little slap happy.
Well, and we have really long weekly recaps.
Yes. Because all hell broke loose. Again, still some more.
Yeah.
I thought all hell was already out, but like more hell came out. And I was like, what? No one closed the door behind the other hell?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our plan for the day.
Indeed. So I guess that brings us to the time. And it is time for the weekly recap.
Check in.
Yes. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I did a lot this week. Unfortunately for me.
Yes.
I didn't realize that it was the same week that I did the tooth thing, but saw a dentist on Tuesday or Monday and had them pull one of the bad teeth. And then they put in a bone graft. And they did something that makes it not happy because it's still not happy.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but whatever, it is what it is. I'll move forward
until with an itchy, owie gum.
It's driving me nuts. And my sinuses are like all sensitive to the pollen right now, so I'm like sneezing and sneezing hurts, and it's just not fun. It's not good. What else did we do? I did a lot of work on the channel this week.
Yep.
Like a lot.
Yeah. We're kind of revamping and getting ready to push it for the summer, because we'll have a lot more time between the two of us, and then more time to create, more time to edit, more time to put stuff out there and see what we can do.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to rearrange the room a little bit. I have an idea on how to fix that.
Will that bring about the end of season 3?
No, because it won't be visible. They won't notice it. It's just for us, because this room's kind of a mess.
Oh, true.
So it'll be less of a mess when I'm done.
Yeah, it's all studio back there with all the cables and stuff.
Yeah, you don't get to see it. It's gross. It's icky.
I'll show you one day.
Do not. After we fix it, you can show them.
Okay. All right. Good.
But yeah,
it worked on. Pretty.
We did like a new icon.
Yep.
And we did.
New logo.
Had to edit. I had to edit an advertiser-friendly episode to send out on this promotion for us to get more people in.
Because it was doing really well, and then
it did. It was doing great. People were really liking it,
yep.
And then somebody flagged it because we said naughty words.
Mostly me.
And I had to remove all the naughty words. And unfortunately for everyone, they'll never get to see it unless you find the ad. If you find the ad, click on it. If you get the hour and 30-minute one, it's hilarious because I just dub over her. For half of it, I was just like, anytime she would swear, I would come up with my own thing.
So I'd be like, that effing hurt.
That really, really hurt.
It was just like,
but I always left
monotone.
I tried to leave the beginning of the word so that you could hear those like,
really.
Yeah.
Freely. It freely hurt.
So we did that. Set up the ad campaign and did the editing of the Harper episodes.
Yeah, which was a lot.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully by now you guys have seen them.
And enjoyed them.
Yeah, our Saturday and Wednesday, because it was a lot of footage. It was 4+ hours.
4.5.
Which is a lot.
And I cut it down to 2.5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. But part 2 I loved because I was like, I don't know. It was a different dynamic for sure because we weren't like we didn't have that like pre-established relationship. And so it was very interesting going into. But I like the second half a lot because he's a lot more comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And so the flow is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention your editing is immaculate.
I try.
So
I've done a lot of editing recently
Yeah.
because we did a new trailer
Mm-hmm.
for the site too.
Yep.
Which you won't see if you've already subscribed.
Haha.
All this work I've done is for new people. I'm not neglecting the people who've been here from the beginning, but I am. Sorry.
Just for now.
Just a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. We also learned that our Spotify.
Crystal, you didn't tell me. You should have told me. I was going through the Podbean, checking out all our episodes, and I found a couple, I think it was 5, that were just the entire recording session, like the hour and 20 minutes we goof off beforehand, the stupidity that comes before the next half,
Yep.
and aftermath, and they were just uploaded. And Crystal didn't tell us.
Like, oh, it was fine.
I mean, as long as you enjoyed them, they're fixed now. I can repost them later somewhere. Be like, Crystal selection.
No, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get our Patreon.
Yes, that'll be
for
Patreon.
Only the fucking around bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you had a David this week. As
Oh my
well.
God. That's right. I did pain management. That's the big one. I have a lot to say about this
Yeah,
because there's a lot to it.
Because he only told me parts of the story. He wanted my real reaction.
Yeah. Well, you've heard the most important parts of it already. But we went into the new clinic and we were super early this time because we were on time last time, but not the 30 minutes before when they could just schedule us 30 minutes prior. I don't understand why they. Anyway, doesn't make sense, but I'm going to have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
We waited for an hour and we saw some of the staff members from New Health that knew us. We saw them walking around in the back and Jen's like, I can't believe that they're here. And I was like, this is awesome. I can't believe it either. And they took us back and we got to see 2 of the nurses that we knew and then Denise, the head nurse from New Health.
Yeah.
And they all hugged us. They were so excited to see us again. And I was like, yes.
Yay.
I feel less anxious there now.
Right. Because you know the people and it's
for
not
years. For years. Yeah. And Denise came in. She shut the door behind her. Was like, okay, so this is what happened. And we got the down low on why New Health closed so suddenly. It was something to do with going bankrupt, $8 million of debt at a pain management clinic from people who were working overseas.
Money laundering.
It's what it sounds like.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So there were 3 partners outside of Denise who was a partner on this project, and they live in another country, and they closed it while she was out on vacation. She went to Cancun for vacation. They closed everything up. She came back to nothing. They didn't tell her anything.
Which is just absolutely crazy.
Right. Yeah. And then we saw David, and he was excited to see us.
Yep.
And we got to make a segment for what did David say this time? Because it was great. We were talking. We were having a good conversation about what's been going on with me, and talking about my foot thing. He's like, my sister, she's a badass. She can take anything. She's the kind of person who when they're in pain, you just don't see it on them. And lately she's had the same hip problems that you guys have. And she couldn't go on a hike with me. She drank a beer and got kicked out of her pain management clinic, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely
ridiculous.
Crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
It wasn't even that day. She had drunk the week before.
Yeah.
But it was still, they can still detect it in your system. He was pissed about that. And then he was like, it's so unfair that you have to go through this because nice people don't deserve this.
No.
I was like, you're right, David. They don't. I agree.
Yeah. It's wrong to punish people who are in pain.
But he was excited to see us.
Yeah.
And it went well. It went really well, actually. Just talking to them and seeing everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I think you were really anxious about having to move over and then wondering if you were going to get the help that you need.
Yeah.
Because in the past, we've had the surgery problems where they're like, no one's giving you pain meds. Yay.
No, David's the kind of guy that if I emailed him and I had that problem,
yeah,
I know the nurses would hand him the.
Yep.
I know he would get the message regardless, and I know he would do something. He would either call the
right.
Dr. Sarai and be like, hey,
you need to prescribe it, or
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think he'll leave you hanging out in the wind anymore, which is good.
No. Nope. It was, a good week. Otherwise, physically it sucked.
Yes.
It was rough.
Yep.
Well, for everyone apparently.
Yeah.
In the
That's
live
what
yesterday.
I've been hearing. Yeah. People were is this full moon? What's going on?
Yeah,
So I was
something
like,
was
everything is a full moon now.
off.
The last 2 weeks have been a full moon. Yeah.
I think it was
It's
it.
just crazy.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
There was a lot of editing, and I loved it.
But you busted them out really quick, and they were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Good episodes. I'm excited to see you guys' reactions to them.
Yeah. Also, we need to buy hoodies and stuff for ourselves.
Yes. So I was waiting on this because I wasn't sure if we had like samples coming in, but I'm definitely getting back on the app today, or not the app, the site today, and buying my stuff because I want it.
Yeah.
And I like the new design that you put out too. Is that one uploaded for Teespring yet?
No, it's not on Teespring yet.
Oh, we should.
We should.
Because I know Ruth was saying she wanted one that's just fantastic pains and how we hide them.
Probably the old one.
Maybe.
I'll ask her in Discord.
See if you could do both because you have both, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a matter of setting it up and making the prints, and then you know, not a big deal.
Easy peasy.
I'll just ask her specifically what she wants, so we get,
right.
Because I don't mind catering to you guys. Just let me know.
Yeah.
You want a design? We'll get the design. What do you want it on? No.
We got lots of stuff. I'm really excited. I love the backpack.
Everybody does.
Jen did such a good job. It looks so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we go. Shameless plug. Shameful plug. Sorry. If you haven't yet, go check out the Teespring. And also, if you haven't yet, join our Discord.
Yes, do both, please. Please.
Come hang out.
In fact, actually, go to the Teespring, which is in the description below, and probably on the screen because I'm good at plugging things. And then tell us what you think about everything in the Discord.
There you go.
Because that's where all my input has been coming from lately.
Yes.
So, or comment. I don't care.
Both.
Anyway, your turn.
No los dos. Oh God. I don't remember Monday, like at all.
Same. That's why I had to start on Tuesday.
So the Monday before this last week, I went to urgent care to get fluids, right?
Yes.
Had an EKG. Abnormal Q was back.
Yeah.
So I emailed my doctor and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This is weird. But backing up a little bit, Tuesday, I had to leave work because I went like full blown tachycardic, just doing nothing. Like I walked in from lunch, I handed everybody their coffees, and I was standing at my desk and I was like, I feel weird. I don't know what's happening. I feel really weird. And I look down and I'm like, oh, we're at like 201, which is like territory.
Yep.
And so I sit down right away and I put my legs up on my rolly chair, and most everybody else is just like, she good? Like she's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
But there were some people in there who don't understand or know the extent of my nonsense. And one of them is going to be my advisory partner next year. So
yeah, the one you might have terrified.
Scared the crap out of my future advisory partner.
Yay.
Really awesome. But laying down, like I wound up like 215 plus.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. And I was just so sick. I couldn't stand up. I was like way hard listening to the right. I couldn't hear out of my right ear. It was gross. The whole thing was gross. And I'm sweating and I'm flushing. I'm miserable. And there was just a snag at work and no one could like take me and my car home.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little salty about just still. But I actually wound up calling you and was like, I am so sick. What do we do?
Yeah.
And then Jen was able to come get me and Diana drove my car back, which was really nice. And I rested for a little while and then I had a part 2 in the evening. And that was when I finally emailed my doctor and I was like, stuff is weird. And this is not okay anymore. And so I got a call from the nurses on Wednesday because I worked from home Wednesday morning and then went in for PD like I normally do.
Yeah.
Thursday I was out all day for appointments to go see, I don't remember who all I saw. I saw my pain psych, I saw massage, and then my doctor.
Yeah.
And then my doctor, thank God, agreed that it's not my heart after another EKG, which was clean of the abnormal Q, which We
Who knows?
don't know.
Mystery.
I have a sometimes abnormal Q.
Yeah. For no reason.
For no reason, yeah. And he was like, your blood pressure is low and your heart rate is high. And I was like, cool beans. What do we do? And so we're backing off on the verapamil. We're going to take it twice a day instead of 3 times, and see if the esophageal spasms are still at bay, because that is what that one is for, but it lowers my blood pressure. And then I also have, it's like plasma, blood, and urine screening for, I don't know, basically he said it's really super rare and he thinks it's probably dysautonomia like I do. But there is something that would cause basically adrenaline dumps or like excess adrenaline to be dumped into the bloodstream for no reason. And so we're going to do labs to see if that's what's up or if it's dysautonomic and we need to go back and see neurology.
Right.
Because it's time anyway. I've put it off. Friday was a bitch, but I came over here and we talked it out and it was good. So
Well, we got to talk with everyone online.
yeah,
I
which
did
was so
that.
nice.
I was
love
like,
that.
I absolutely need to communicate with people.
Yeah. Because you always ask me, you're like, are we up to shoot? And I'm like, I am if you are. Are you okay? Do you want to? Do you want to not? But yeah, no, it was a very long week and I'm very tired.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the fun of it. And it was just weird trying to explain to people who were like, oh my God, I'll tell you the nurse story and then I'll be done. Because the nurse story is pretty great.
Okay.
So the nurse comes into the room while I'm laying on my back on the floor because someone whom I freaked out during lunch went and got her. And she comes in and she's like, do you want me to get my blood pressure cuffed? Like, what do you need? We could call an ambulance. I think you should go to urgent care. All this stuff. And I'm like, no. Just leave me alone. And then she's like, okay, so what do you need like right now? And I was like, a swift end? She did not appreciate that.
No, she did not.
No. And she looked at me after a long pause and she just goes, are you thinking about hurting yourself right now? And I was just like, and I think I laughed and I just like looked around for help because I was like, somebody take over the situation because I'm going to fuck it up really bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. And I was just like, no. And she left and then tried to talk one of my coworkers into still calling an ambulance.
Oh, my God.
Which, thank goodness, they know better.
Yeah, good shit.
So, yeah, fun times. I am not enjoying feeling sick. Oh, and I had pain management group, which was interesting. Pain and PTSD
She
group.
participated.
Yes, and it was better this time. It wasn't quite so lonely because I even told my pain psych, I was like, I did not like that, and here's why. And she's like, you're not the only one who said that to me this week. And I was like, okay, that does make me feel better.
That much better.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was just weird. It's weird. I don't know. I still am like on the fence, but it wasn't horrible.
No.
So yeah, let's move on.
Quite. Indubitably.
Indubitably. Indeed. So we're going into Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month. 'Cause
Yay!
It's May.
What does
The
it
May
mean
of
to you?
Zebras.
Like what does one do for an EDS month?
We make ourselves visible.
I mean, that's the goal.
Yes. Well, and putting it out there that like these are the weird symptoms that people miss because you're dealing with them like individually and not putting them together.
Yeah.
And so like on my Facebook and my social media, I've been posting like little infographics
Nice.
all month. Not every day because I don't do that, but I try. Okay.
Well, let's start at what EDS is and
Yep.
then work our way down.
So
And
if
then we'll
you
get to the
don't
letter.
know, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS, is a group of connective tissue disorders. I think right now there are 13.
Mm-hmm. And last I checked,
Different
it's been
types.
a minute since I looked
Yeah.
at the...
Well, and they're redoing the qualifications for HEDS, which is what we both have, which is the hypermobility type. And so for us, the hypermobility type is the most common type within EDS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also one of the most difficult ones to treat because we are all very different, but collagen is the problem,
Right.
essentially.
faulty collagen production, and you find collagen in every tissue, I think.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So collagen is like the glue that holds your body together. And so I think we said way back when that EDS is like trying to build a skyscraper with fondant.
Yes.
And there you have it, EDS. So what does it mean to you?
The month?
The month or EDS itself?
EDS
More
itself is just,
explanations?
I don't think about it anymore, honestly. I mean, we talk about it on the podcast, but
Yeah.
I've gotten mostly over the imposter syndrome of it,
Mhm.
where it's like, you don't have this. It's more like, yes, you acknowledge it and you're like in the background of your head. You're like, oh, yeah, no, I have that. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. It is what it is.
It's fun.
I mean, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is to me.
Yes.
Like I dislocated just a second ago doing claps for syncing the audio and video. I threw my left shoulder out.
Went like this and then went, oh my God.
Yeah, it slipped out. Not all the way, just partially. It's only pinching a nerve.
Like my elbow,
Yeah.
which is continually activating my funny bone
So yeah,
for fun in me time.
with the connection issues,
Mm-hmm.
we dislocate, sublex,
Yep.
hyperextend, damage to the joints like no one's business.
Yep. Fragile tissues, and that means everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So fragile skin is another piece of it. So especially for like, I don't know if y'all can see anywhere on me, but like everything that happens to my skin scars.
Yeah.
Literally everything. And we have kind of abnormal healing. And so scars don't always heal all the way.
Yeah.
And so there have been times where we've had to go back and like open them up or freshen the edges so that they can close.
It's true. Not the greatest, but
Yeah.
it's true.
We don't do surgery at home. Shh.
Well, I was gonna say something too, and I lost it.
Teeth.
Home surgery. Teeth is a big one, yeah.
Teeth is another one.
I have like 3 missing and 2 broken at the moment.
I'm missing 4, and I have 2 root canals that don't have crowns.
Right.
Yeah.
And finding a dentist who understands EDS is impossible. So
Yes. So it's always a guilty experience when we go and they're like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with your face? And you're like, I don't know.
Oh, and it's worth mentioning that it's a lifelong condition that you can't cure.
Yes.
It's just genetics. We make bad collagen. You can't just replace it.
Right. So a lot of the time people offer like, oh, can you take collagen supplements? And we're like,
Mm-mm.
no, yes. I mean, you can take them
Yeah.
and they might help in other ways. Like fish oil supplements can help in other ways.
Yeah.
But it's not going to help your body to produce collagen correctly.
Right.
Because we are making collagen. We're just making really bad collagen.
Very, very flexy.
It's too much flexy.
Yeah.
So with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I think it's worth mentioning that hypermobility spectrum disorders kind of fall in under there. I know not everybody agrees with that, but the distinctions are super, I don't know, subjective and clinical.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where, like, if I were to go get diagnosed before, I don't know. So, okay, when I got diagnosed in 2018, I was missing a bunch of criteria that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you don't have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's that Ehlers-Danlos is notoriously hard to get diagnosed. And not all doctors believe in it.
Yep. That was my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I got my diagnosis, but I had to get it through a different way.
Yep.
Than through
well, and now
the
you have
one guy.
2 siblings who are officially diagnosed,
Yeah.
and then now you're officially diagnosed within your paperwork, which, haha, suck on that.
Yeah.
Non-EDS believing man.
Yeah. No joke.
Mm.
But yeah, we're flexible, but that also comes with like the POTS.
Yep.
The
So,
full spectrum of.
They call it the unholy trinity, which I really like. No, it's the trifecta. I call it the trifecta of doom.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
But so Ehlers-Danlos, mast cell activation syndrome, and dysautonomia, usually called just POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. But there, even under all of those things, those are just umbrella terms for different disorders within.
It all just kind of goes down.
So if it has syndrome after it, it's a collection of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes with EDS, not always, but a lot of the time we wind up with orthostatic intolerances, which can cause our blood pressure to go funky, our heart rates to go funky.
I get that
syncope
one a lot.
or fainting is another one.
I get that one a lot.
Yeah. Which, come to find out, doctors really hate hearing that you fainted, and they hate hearing it in a like casual, super like flippant way. So if you go talk to a doctor and you're like, oh yeah, and then I fainted, they're going to be like, excuse me, you did what?
Yeah, I blacked out.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
I'm just good at getting to the floor.
Yeah. So you have mast cell activation, which is basically like a fake allergic reaction.
Yes. So your mast cells they release like mediators and like histamine. Wow.
The antihistamines.
You take antihistamine to kind of manage the symptoms. Yes. There are other ways to manage them as well, but it is kind of a faux allergic reaction. And now what I'm kind of learning is it can play into the hyperadrenogenic type of POTS.
Yeah.
Which can cause, which is really interesting. This is what I just learned, is that mast cell activation can release mediators that cause your blood vessels to dilate. Mm-hmm. And that contributes to the crash in your blood pressure, because suddenly there's a lot more room for that blood to be not where it's supposed to be.
That's why I get shaky. Yeah. When it hits, you kind of get like wobbly
and all of the symptoms within that mast cell activation playing into orthostatic intolerance is that like flushing and the sweating and the shaking and the nausea that comes with it and the blacking out and the tinnitus and the. Yeah. So it's all kind of woven together. I know that they are separate conditions and you can have them separately.
Yeah.
But with Ehlers-Danlos, they tend to kind of all hold hands and play in the same sandbox.
Yeah. And beyond the stretchiness, there's the dysautonomic stuff.
Yes.
So.
And nerve issues.
Yeah. Lots of nerve issues. I am full of nerve issues.
Yeah. I think my first medication was gabapentin because I had such bad nerve pain.
Yeah.
To just start off with.
That was the first round.
Yes. So the dysautonomia can be essentially, the word dysautonomia refers to the autonomic nervous system and its dysfunction. So dysautonomia, again, is the really broad umbrella for a lot of different co-occurring symptoms. So nerve pain can be one of those, peripheral nerve damage, like neuropathies, small fiber neuropathies, quite a bit of like a lot of the things you would see within like diabetes almost also.
So there's a lot of like not just stretchy symptoms that go with that. So when you say you have EDS and people who recognize the base form of it, they'll go, oh, you're stretchy.
Right.
When really it's like, no, I run fevers in the middle of the night. I sweat for no reason.
I sweat buckets for no reason.
Yeah. So I'll randomly have an adrenal drop. It's my life. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yes. And the thing is that, and this is the really big one for Ehlers-Danlos that I like to get across, is that EDS is not as rare as they say it is.
It's just underdiagnosed.
It is massively underdiagnosed. Yep. The woman who cut my hair like 3 weeks ago was talking to me about all of these symptoms that she had and was like, oh, wow, that sounds a lot like what you have going on. Because I was talking about my like hair and my fingernails and all of those things that are also affected. And come to find out that this woman and her daughter have a lot of symptoms. And I was like, you need to check out EDS.
And that's why.
Even if it's not, please go like look. Go check it out. Because if because she was like, someone once told me I had too much collagen. And I was like, I don't think that's right. But
it might be on the right path.
Here, try this. So I meet zebras constantly all over the place in the wild.
Zebra being slang for people with EDS.
Yes. Why is that?
Because doctors are taught to, when they see certain symptoms, treat it like in the wild, where if you saw hoofs, you would think horse, not zebra.
Right. So if you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras.
So our symptoms could be any number of things. So they don't jump to, oh, it's EDS.
Right. Well, and that's that piece where it really is a collection of things. And again, like it's a syndrome, right? So it's a collection of symptoms. But if you're looking at those symptoms individually, so easy to miss. So easy to miss. They're like, oh, your stomach hurts. that couldn't possibly be related to your dislocated shoulder.
Right. So you wouldn't
But
connect
it
that.
is. And then, go backing up to the neuropathies and dysautonomia. That can also affect your gut and how it functions.
Yeah.
So we wind up with GERD, which is super, super common.
I have that.
Yep. Also, like our valve doesn't function correctly all the time. Sometimes it's hard to swallow. That occurred when I had my really bad tacky thing. I could not swallow.
Yeah.
Could not swallow. Which again, I was like, it's a neuropathy. Like it's a dysautonomic thing. But yes, and then it can cause dysmotility, which is where your stomach is not emptying appropriately or within time, and so that can cause a lot of different problems, and eventually can cause like gastroparesis, which is
I've had that.
Yep, where it all just stops moving, which is great. I love when that happens. And you can wind up with dead pieces of intestine, which you also have.
Yeah, true. Not dead, like necrotic. It's still alive. It just doesn't function.
Yep.
It's like no electrical signals get there.
I want to know how much electrical plays into things, because even when I flex a muscle or like go to flex it, I get like this 1, 2, 3 flicker that happens. It's like an interrupted electric signal.
Right.
And when I had my electric looked at in my legs, they were like, okay, you're not like, it's there. All the electricity is there, but it's not normal.
Right.
But yes, so doctors are taught to look for the most likely solutions.
Yeah.
And not go digging for that like far out one, which is the zebra. But zebras do exist, and we are here. So
Zebra month.
Zebra month. Anything else we should touch on with Ehlers-Danlos and what that means?
We could talk ad nauseum, really.
I know, really.
Like,
We
just
can talk
keep
forever.
going. I had a thought. Oh, things that you can do to spread awareness, because that's why it's underdiagnosed. People don't know it exists.
Yep.
So they have the symptoms, and they could spend years trying to find the answer, like we did.
Right. Well, and we know people in our Discord who went 40 plus years without diagnosis.
Yeah.
And so it leads to a lot of like gaslighting.
Oh, totally.
Like from within also, but from within like the medical community. And even family members can play into that when you can't figure out what's wrong with you and you know there's something wrong with you for years and years. So we were lucky enough to be diagnosed when we were, but we still had to fight and dig and diagnose ourselves, essentially.
Yeah, it took me 27 years to get to EDS. And there was 8 years of that was dedicated to finding an answer.
Because it was late 2017, early 2018.
Yeah.
When we were like, I'm pretty sure we know what it is.
Yeah.
Because at first we were chasing Marfan syndrome, which actually is it's included in that umbrella of connective tissue disorders. Yep. And these are all genetic. Each and every one is genetic, but HEDS specifically, we do not know what the markers are. So again, it's really hard to diagnose even by genetics. So generally when you see a geneticist for it, it's a diagnosis by exclusion. Sorry, what were we? I went backwards.
No, it's fine.
I went backwards.
We were talking EDS and EDS month.
Yep.
And what we could do to...
Oh, and how to bring awareness.
Yeah.
Yes. First of all, share these videos. Hi. Yeah, no. Ugh, my soul hurts now. But I think for me, it means being really open with my story.
Yeah.
Because that is how I've identified people out in the real world.
I was going to say that. Leave your ears open.
Yeah.
And listen for certain symptoms, like the things we listed off. If you have someone complaining about things and you ask them, hey, do you also dislocate?
Yeah. Oh, there was a kid in a gas station one day. He was standing on his...
He rolled
his ankles out and was standing that way.
Yep.
Because I do it too. It takes pressure off the knees and the hips. It's not good for your ankles, but I do
weird,
it anyhow.
We stand weird. We walk weird.
Yes, we do walk weird. In kids, we can get into that in a second. But yeah, I had to look at this kid and go, hey, do your joints dislocate? Tell your parents to look into this. Here you go.
We need cards. We need to be like, you might be a zebra cards.
Right. And it's not like we would want to run around diagnosing people, but it's
not like a
not
mission.
a good life to live questioning your sanity and your health.
Well, I mean,
all
we
the time.
basically we went through all of it.
Yeah.
We've run the gamut. We did everything, and if we can have other people avoid it,
Right, exactly.
More power to them.
If we can give you some of what we got out of that really rough experience.
Yeah, make it worth something.
Right.
Instead of just like years of pain for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing, is it's hard. Everybody that I've come across so far, my Vegas buddy was like, I thought I was crazy and I was not doing well, and you saved my butt because I would never have known. And they happen in really short encounters. Like, it's not like I sit down for a long period of time and I'm like stalking strangers.
Right.
They pop up all over the place.
Sorry, so, I want to write my ideas down before it's too late.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with now. Don't worry about it.
Okay. And then in kiddos, because what are the chances of EDS in yours?
50-50.
Spawn. Yes, it is a 50-50 shot, which is really interesting to me because out of our father's six children, 3 confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 other who may be like mildly affected and in the like HSD range, but and then out of your 2.
Out of my 2, it's still
it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
But it's like keep eyeballs.
Right. Just they know about it.
Yeah.
They know what it's like for me. And when they have symptoms or they have something wrong, they tell me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'll write it down, keep track of it.
Well, and that's the other big one is like, make sure you're listening when your kids tell you they don't feel
Exactly.
good. Like, I get that, like, sometimes they're going to play hooky from school and be like, I don't feel good. But if your kid is, like, consistently complaining about something, or if your child is consistently complaining about something for a long period of time and then it suddenly stops.
Yeah.
Because Ehlers-Danlos is extremely inconsistent.
Oh, my God, it is.
Yeah. So
it's a wheel. You wake up in the morning, you spin the roulette, and then you might get 3 or 5 symptoms.
Right.
You might get none, which will make you feel like you're crazy.
Yes. So as an example, my ankles were really bothering me and my feet hurt really bad for a long time. And then finally I set it up to go get them looked at.
Yeah.
And then they stopped hurting.
Exactly. That's happened to me a lot.
Something else popped up. So I have a bunch of like not filled referrals because I was like, oh yeah, it stopped bugging me and something else took its place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's the major points. Yeah. So try and listen to the symptoms we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find somebody that you think might have it, let them know.
Yeah.
Just check it out. I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah.
I found it on a YouTube channel randomly. So.
Right. Well, and another symptom that we kind of forgot to mention and glossed over is within the skin, there can be some translucence. There can be some blood pooling or evidence of blood pooling is really common. So our like hands and feet and legs can pool blood.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is explodey veins.
Yes.
So if your veins burst for no reason. So we wind up with little leaky blood vessels and busted blood vessels all over. And it's just because the tissue is thin and it breaks because we stretch beyond where it is supposed to stretch to.
If I stretch my arms out to the sides, like if you're trying to give someone the biggest hug you can, my ball joints will start sliding out.
Yep.
And then the veins can start being tugged on. You can feel the veins in your arm being pushed and pulled.
The other piece is that they get pinched when we have subluxations, dislocations, and then relocations. So a lot of that can happen in the fingers and the hands. So you might have blood vessels there. Yeah. Should we go over the Beighton score real quick before we take a break, or do you want to do...
No, do Beighton real quick.
Okay. So Ehlers-Danlos was, and I'm hoping that these new guidelines, I haven't really looked to see what they are. I don't think they've been released officially. They might. I don't know. I'm not an expert. Don't stop it.
Stop.
Just stop. I'm just some chick in a chair. I don't know what to tell you. So the Beighton score is one of the clinical measurements that they use to diagnose Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it kind of measures the degree of your hypermobility.
Right. It's a good test to just be like, oh, I fit this. I should go look into EDS now.
Right.
Or other connective tissue disorders. Anything.
Yeah.
It's not like, ooh, you have it. Because there are
Right,
people
right.
that are just flexible and it's fine.
Yeah. So one of is I can't show it on this hand. You do.
We're backwards.
I know it's hard to show. Here we go.
Do it this
There we
way.
go.
Yeah. Go
Okay,
upside down.
so yeah, thumb to wrist is
And
one.
in our case, we can go past our wrist, but you can't
Yeah.
really see it.
Well, and it's hard to do it with your arm twisted all the way around.
It's a gang sign. It's like
yes,
this.
EDS gang sign. Here we go.
Thumb to here. If it
So
can
you
go
take-
touch it or go beyond.
Your thumb to your
how it's flat.
wrist and past. You can make really weird. Yeah.
Then elbows.
No, pinkies.
Oh, pinky test. Yeah.
Pinkies.
Pinky
If
all
your
the way back.
pinkies go beyond 90 degrees,
Kinda
I will only do it on this hand because I broke this hand and it does not go that far anymore.
I can still do it on the broken side, but
Oof.
it hurts.
I never had it treated at all though.
See if I can get mine.
So I had that heal naturally.
So
So when your pinky
there's
goes
90, and then there's everything else beyond.
yeah.
It's hard to
Oops,
get it.
There we go.
There we go.
Ooh. Yeah. And then elbows because gross.
Yeah, yours are really easy to see.
Yeah.
See that? 15 degrees. There you go, right there.
Yeah.
It should be straight.
So normal people elbows come to here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish. And then our elbows are no.
Yeah.
There is no end to my ability. And it's worse if I put them on the table and show you. But
And you count each joint as a number.
yes.
To up to 9.
So a point.
Yeah,
essentially.
point per each.
Yep.
So
Then comes
6?
knees.
oh yeah, the 2 knees
And
and
so
then bending.
knees, I believe, is 10 degrees.
Yeah. So if you stand up and you lock your knees
Uh-huh.
and
And then go backward,
backward, yeah.
like my elbows do.
Yeah.
So if your knees do like your elbows do,
And then the last one is just, can you touch the ground
can
with
you
your
put
palms flat on the floor?
without
with
bending your knees.
Yeah, keep
so
your legs
can
straight.
you bend over and put your palms on the floor without bending your knees? And so I think it's between 5 and 9 is clinically significant.
Mhm.
It also is dependent on age. So if you're older and you had the ability to do those things, you may still have Ehlers-Danlos.
Right, you get less flexible as you age.
Yeah,
So
you tend to lose some of that hypermobility as you age. So there is a retrospective lens that can be used on the
Mhm.
Beighton score. But yeah,
yeah, so have fun. Try the Beighton if you qualify.
do it on
Maybe.
your friends.
Yeah. Be like,
See-
hey, I want to see something real quick.
Yeah.
I do it to people all the time.
Right?
Like when Autumn was on and I was like, Autumn, let me see. Can you touch your thumb to your wrist?
One
And
of my kids
she
was
was
like, my hip dislocates. And I was like, do this. Put your thumb to your wrist. And she can do it.
No,
And I was like,
you got to be
pinkies.
a total asshole
She
about
doesn't
it.
have pinkies.
Be like, hey, come here. Do this right now.
Get it. Just,
Yeah. Okay.
it's like we're testing
sit.
for aliens. You're like, is he real? Is he real? He's real.
He's real. That's legit.
My God. So there's our quick primer on EDS and what it is and how to be a little bit more cognizant of kind of what that looks like out in the wild.
Yeah.
So if you yourself have Ehlers-Danlos or relate to the things that we've just kind of gone over, feel free to share this with others who may also relate to this video.
And keep in mind, there are degrees of
Yes.
like a spectrum. There are people that need feeding tubes and can't walk. There are people that can walk, but it hurts them.
Yep.
You still can qualify. There are
Yes.
different degrees to
Right.
which this is.
Which is why kind of, and I like to make this point within the podcast as much as possible, comparative suffering is not the way.
Right. No, do not do that.
And so if you're sitting here and you're like, well, it's not as bad as all that.
Yeah, like Karina just did what, 6 out of
I think I have 7. I have 7
I
out
know,
of
but
9. And you
just
have 9
here,
out of 9. Yeah.
like, well, I only have 3 of those.
Right.
Well, still, do the rest of it and see.
Right. Well, and yeah, comparative suffering is not the way.
Mm-mm.
So let's focus on making sure that you get the care that you deserve.
Right. And accommodations.
Yes.
There's a lot that
reasonable
could change
accommodation
your life
is
for the better
huge. Mm-hmm.
by knowing.
Right. Well, and even if it's not within what's qualifying as Ehlers-Danlos right now, it's still probably within that hypermobility spectrum disorder.
Yeah, which is
Which
the thing. So.
comes with a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
And is arguably the same thing, but not everybody agrees.
She didn't say that. It never happened. Go away. No, don't go away. Come back.
Don't leave.
I'm sorry.
I love you. I'm sorry. I won't say it again.
Baka.
Anyway, I think it might be time for a break.
Maybe.
Yes?
Maybe just a little.
It's getting hot in here.
Yes, it is.
So it's time to take off all my headphones.
And then go outside.
Yes.
What do
it
they
is
need
also
to do?
hot. They need to take their meds if you've not done that.
You need to drink some water.
Yep. Have a snack because you deserve one.
And you are a snack. Yeah. Just saying. That's aimed at everybody. Just, if you're a guy and you're blushing, good.
You are a snack also. I will say it. So then there you go.
Oh, man.
You're a snack and you're a snack and they're a snack.
Also,
everybody's a snack.
If you're working on something and you need a break, let yourself rest.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be forever.
No, just a little break can go a long way.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if you want to take your break standing, if you're like me and you got to stay in motion, just slow down for a minute and let yourself regulate.
Yes.
Before you get back to it.
Do a self-check. Are you good physically?
Yes.
Are you in a bad mood? Why are you in a bad mood? Try and work through it.
Yeah. Just take care of you.
Yeah, we care.
That's the whole goal.
We love you.
Indeed. All right. So take care of yourself or else. I'm just kidding. And we will see you in a minute.
Bye.
Fantastic Pains now has merch. I know we've been promising it for a while, but it is here. You can find our stuff at fantastic-pains.creator-spring.com. We have t-shirts, hoodies, leggings, wine coolers, I guess you can call them, and my very favorite backpack. So take a minute, go check us out.
Welcome back. How was your break? Ours was pretty good.
Did you do the things?
Any of the things, just one.
It is appropriate if you did a thing.
Yes.
Or maybe you took a thing and you made it your own thing, and that's acceptable as well.
Unless it's art. Don't do that.
That's called copyright infringement.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. We're not endorsing that. Please don't.
We're wearing different clothes.
I'm not. I washed my clothes so I could match today.
I did not.
I was going to ask you to. I forgot.
Because I did not. I don't know.
We are reshooting the open letter half of this because I didn't like the way the last one went. And I want it to be pretty and nice.
It wasn't that it was bad, but it is like we want it to be pretty.
Yeah.
We want it to be something that you can like, this is EDS awareness.
Yes.
And it is polished and beautiful and serves the purpose appropriately.
You guys deserve it. So
yeah.
Here we are.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So what do we need to do?
Well, first, we need to intro the
segment.
The segment, yeah.
Intro the segment.
Intro the segment.
With our gorgeous timestamp.
All right.
There's
so
no timestamp there.
What did I call this one?
So this is from those that suffer to the ones, or I'm sorry, no, this is from those that suffered to the new to EDS or chronic illness.
Yes. Because it applies to everything.
Yeah.
Any chronic anything, you can relate.
Yeah. And while we're doing it for EDS Awareness Month, we do want it to be something that is not, doesn't create like exclusivity.
Exactly.
Because they are such similar experiences sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important that we make that distinction and include
definitely.
those with other chronic illnesses.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I like the way we worded it last time.
So this is our like big sibling chat.
Yes, this is sibling chat.
Yep. What was your wording from earlier?
The first time we did it, it was, so you found out you're chronically ill. Now what?
Aha. There you go.
Yeah. Number one, you're not crazy. Congratulations. You
It's
actually have the
real.
problem.
Yes.
And you found it.
It's real.
Yes.
Yeah. And not in your head. And don't let anyone make you think that it is or feel that it is, because it's not.
Right.
All right. Number 2 is you're not alone. Welcome to our podcast where you can be really not alone. There are resources and even though suffering can make us feel so isolated, especially from the people that we perceive to be like normal or well or healthy, it can shrink things and make you feel alone and isolated.
Yeah.
So make sure you find those support groups and those people in your life that you can lean on in different ways, because not all friendships are the same either. They all serve a different purpose.
Mm-hmm. And to that end, if you are feeling lonely, we have a Discord.
Yes.
We plug it, but not because we want traffic or anything. It's a really handy tool. Mm-hmm. The community that we have built there, they're amazing.
Yeah.
They help us on bad days. We help them when we can. Like, everyone's there for each other, and there's no
judgment.
Right.
There's no judgment, and there's no pressure, and there's no like, things don't have to be performative or feel performative or comparative, because the very last thing we want is to promote any kind of comparative suffering.
Exactly. So if you stubbed your toe and it really hurt and it dislocated, feel free to complain about it.
I understand that. Please. One. It hurts a lot.
It does. It sucks.
I really don't like it. It makes my whole foot spasm.
Yeah.
You've seen it. My toes go like this.
And our finger does that. I mean, that's a thing in and of itself.
Sorry.
All right. Number 3. This is good. It's easy to think, now that you've figured out what it is, that it's a downhill slope, that it's just going to get worse. There's going to be more pain. You're going to degenerate. You're going to just destroy your joints. But that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
The way we look at it is it gets different.
Yep.
And it does. If we look back to like 3 years ago, for me, I was a wreck. I was bedbound. I was depressed. And I couldn't function daily. Like, I didn't have the energy to. And it's we're 3 years later. I have a podcast. I'm up and about. I'm like the best I've been in many years.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it's something super comforting also. Yeah. Like, we definitely use it in our darker moments. And most recently, you had to remind me, because when I hit my wall, right? Like, I hit this point of, I don't know how much longer I can do this, because the perception is that right now is forever, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
And it is important to know that, like, things get different and people are affected differently. And so while it might be easy to compare yourself to somebody else with that illness, it's just not productive. There's 3 of us, and we've not been able to use one another as a predictor at all.
No.
Because A, we live different lifestyles, and B, we're different people. So it gets different. Maybe not worse, maybe not better, but different.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And so number 4 is, this one's important to me because it hits close to home. Your value is not wrapped up in the things that you can do for others. And it's not wrapped up in the things that you can't do because of disability or pain or illness, right? You have value outside of the things that you can produce. And I think that's important, especially within our culture, where everything is wrapped up in, like, careers and schooling and what you can do for other people and what you can be for other people and what you can get from other people. Don't do that. You have value. You have inherent value as a human person. Yeah. And nobody can take that away from you.
And you have to believe that.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Do it.
You gotta believe it.
Believe it right now.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Now that you know what it is, there are probably lots of different treatment options that you don't know about.
Yeah.
It may seem like there's only one thing, like, that you would assume. Like, you know, if we go at a joint, we think, oh, surgery time.
Yeah.
That's just how we function.
But other people might not be
right.
So
you don't have to do surgery. You can do other things. There's exercises, there's PT, injections, yeah, and then just other medications that might help with
prolotherapies and things.
Yeah. Or pool therapy. That's one I've been wanting to get on.
Yeah, that's a really good one. We should get on that this summer.
But there are lots of options.
Yeah.
And they're not cures, but they'll help improve your daily life.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of options just outside. And I think there's a caveat to that,
Yeah.
which is don't let anyone promise you a cure.
Right.
It is so incredibly harmful for, I don't know. It just makes me angry. It's predatory.
Yeah.
It is predatory of these people to come into spaces where people are suffering and struggling and just really need help and support and love. And they come in and they take advantage and they promise you this magic cure. And I guarantee you, if it was a magic cure, it would be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be taken in, and be careful who you trust, because other PTs, like we know, PT can be a wonderful option, but used wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've damaged myself for 8 years. I
Yeah.
damaged myself doing PT because we didn't know that I had an actual problem. So I was pushed really hard into doing certain exercises, and they all tore up my shoulders and my hips to pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
do research.
Yes,
Get more than one opinion too.
absolutely. Definitely. Well, and I think that goes into the next one, which is number 6. Prevention is key. Especially within Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, we tend to be a little more reckless,
Oh, yes.
I think, as a whole, because everything causes some kind of pain or damage or hurt, right? But there are things that you can do kind of routinely and preventatively.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, that became working with a personal trainer to work on the muscle stability and just helping to keep my body together with the muscle. But I know there are a lot of other preventative things as well. Some people use chiropractic. Be careful about that one.
Yes.
Let's see what else. There's massage is wonderful, especially if you're like us, where we have sticky spider fascia.
Arachnoidosis. One of the two.
I don't have that, but my myofascial blah 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 sticks to itself, and so I have really bad. Just everything grabs onto everything else, and it becomes like scar tissue almost.
Can you consider mobility aids a preventative measure?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So braces, crutches.
Yeah.
A cane.
Wheelchair or a cane. Yeah, absolutely. There are times where, like I've injured an ankle, and so I will brace the ankle and brace the knee.
Right.
And then go out that way, because I know that one thing is going to throw out something else, and you have this kind of cascade effect.
Yep.
So if you can prevent other things from being affected by an injury, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is really important. When you start looking for, I guess, not necessarily an answer, but even then, you're going to get opinions from doctors.
Yeah.
And if you feel like they're not in your best interest, feel free to move on. They're just people. They're doctors, but they're people. Mm-hmm. And not all doctors are going to have, like, I guess, your interest in their minds. They'll have an agenda or very strong opinions on things that,
or have biases that are not reasonable. And I think we've seen this within COVID, where people are like, oh, wearing a mask is bad, or oh, the injections are bad, and people have lost their jobs over these things. But I think that's the clearest look we've had as a society. But absolutely, there are people out there who may not believe even in your condition. Not so much that they don't believe you. They may not believe in your condition. Right. Which has happened to us.
So it's okay to find a new doctor.
Yes.
And to keep looking. Yeah. I think I've had 5 or 6 primary cares now. And I had to find them. Yeah. You know,
I was extremely lucky when I found my doctor, because he has been phenomenal since 2018 when we got the diagnosis. And he, even though he didn't know a lot about it, he was absolutely willing to learn, and to learn with me, and to include me as part of the care team. Which
you had a voice.
It is vital that you have a voice in your own care. So make sure you find someone who's going to allow you to be involved, because odds are, especially with EDS, if you've been diagnosed later in life, you've been researching this stuff for a long time.
Yep.
For a long time. And I'm not talking like WebMD.
No.
But doctors may treat you like you've been out WebMDing things,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's important to know that like these are care providers and they do work for you.
Yeah.
So if you don't like your team, build a new one. Find a new one. You are allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And when they like, I don't know if people ask. Have people asked you?
No, I've done tons of it. They'll ask me, why did you leave this last place, or why didn't you work with them? And I'll explain it.
Yeah.
I'll be out front, but
That's what I was going to say, because I think I've been pretty honest about like when I ditched my neuro and I ditched my who else did I ditch? I ditched basically everybody, honestly. I like nixed everyone and made a new team because they were making me crazy.
Yeah.
And it was actually my primary who was like, did you know you could get a different one?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay.
That's eye-opening.
Yeah, especially to have a doctor tell you that you can have a different one.
We should move into 10 right now.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That goes into and this is the hill that I will die on. It's going to be written on my gravestone.
Yep.
Explicit communication. As someone who is chronically ill, our needs are not always apparent to others, and it may be hard to be vulnerable with people.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes really important that you know how to get your needs met appropriately without putting yourself or others through unwanted like emotional turmoil. Right. And especially for us to like avoid the hinting, because that's a game I don't play ever at all. I will not hint, and I will not take hints. I do not accept them here.
No.
So communicate explicitly. Practice saying what you mean and meaning what you say every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, no matter what it is that you need to say, there is an appropriate way to communicate it explicitly.
Yeah.
So even though it may seem like, well, if I said that, it would be rude. But you need to say it.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't say it that way, but communicate explicitly. Make sure that your needs are being presented in a way that others can clearly and easily pick up on.
Yeah. Well, and they'll learn too.
Yes.
Once you start doing it, people will learn to take you for your word, and they'll take it more seriously. Like when you say something, like, okay, yeah.
And that's important, because sometimes as someone who's chronically ill, you just want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
But someone may take that to be like attention seeking, maybe,
Right.
or like maybe you need something, but you don't want to say it. So I'm going to like, are you sure you want to be alone?
Yeah.
So the more you practice it, the more other people are going to be like, oh, okay, they just need to be alone. Cool. We're moving on. Where did we leave? Oh.
Now we are on don't limit yourself.
Aha, yes. This is important because your illness not only does it not define you, it doesn't define what you're able to accomplish or do or participate in. Don't ever tell yourself you can't. There's going to be a way for you to be able to accommodate. But don't limit yourself, because you're going to find yourself missing out on a lot. And
Which is not good for your mental health.
no. And that's part of my like whole thing is I have massive FOMO. So I'm like, I will abuse the body to no end just to make sure that I'm not being left out of something that I wanted to do. But as I'm getting older and we're practicing these skills more, we find that there's almost always a way to accommodate what you need.
Yeah.
And I think that goes into that explicit communication piece too, because
Absolutely.
for me, a lot of, like I used to have a lot of anxiety around like attending family functions.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned that it was easier for me and better for me to know that I could escape. And so I would drive myself, but I had to fight to be able to drive myself.
Yes.
Right. And use that explicit communication and be able to say, look, it makes me anxious that I can't leave when I need to leave, or I feel like I can't leave when I need to leave. And that spins me up, and then I want to leave sooner.
Exactly. You stay longer when you have the option.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and another tool you can use that's like
Mhm.
that is the weather dependent.
Yes.
Make plans weather dependent, meaning if you're capable.
Mhm.
This happened to me this week. Harper
Yeah.
invited me to go to a movie yesterday,
Yes.
and I was gonna go. I was gung ho to go, but
Mhm.
then we started yesterday morning, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
So I messaged him, and I was like, "Look, man, I can't do it. I'm not blowing you off. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I get it."
But you explicitly even said,
Yep.
I don't want you to think I'm blowing you off.
Yeah.
I really just don't feel good.
Mhm.
Well, and I think he was like, I was going to cancel anyway.
He went to it anyway.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't that one of the things he said?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Was like, I invite people to things I'm already doing. So I'm already going.
hmm
Yeah, weather dependent. That's kind of a funny one for us because the barometrics absolutely affect things.
So it is both metaphorically and literally true that we are weather dependent.
Yes. Yeah. So don't feel like you're crazy when the weather comes around and you feel worse and you're flaring up and you're not sure why. Because there's a lot of that.
You get to do the fun one.
Ooh, I'd get to do the fun one. This is my favorite one. Ready? You are loved. You are loved. Just like you have that worth beyond what you can produce or what you can do, you are worthy of love,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, and you are loved. There are people who care very dearly about you. And we care very dearly about you. And we hope that you can accept that and feel that, because I don't know about you, but I can remember spaces or times in my life when maybe I wasn't able to hear that. But you are loved.
Yes.
And if you can't accept it now, hopefully sometime in the future you will be able to accept it and revisit this maybe.
Yeah.
Just to hear again that you are loved. We love you.
And that's our whole spiel for the uninitiated.
Yep. So that's our 10 things from the chronically ill to the baby chronically ill.
Right.
Moving on, our next section is actually to those that matter from the chronically ill. So this section will be for partners and friends and the people you really care about and want to kind of give them an idea of what it's like to be chronically ill, and how to work with you through that and maintain those relationships. What is our first one?
Oh, our number one.
Mm-hmm.
This is very important. Having a chronic illness is draining.
Absolutely.
Super draining. Mentally, physically,
emotionally,
especially
Yeah.
emotionally draining.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're dealing with it all the time.
Right.
No matter what you do, you are in some way or shape or form dealing with it.
Imagine having it runs in the background at all times.
Yeah.
And it drains your battery.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like
Just
that's how
drains
that
the
goes.
battery.
Yeah. No, having a chronic illness is exhausting. And on top of that, masking a chronic illness is exhausting. And when I say masking, I mean those of us who are invisible or who look healthy from the outside. A lot of that is masking. A lot of that is our efforts to maintain normalcy, I guess.
Yeah.
Within spaces with people who are well or otherwise healthy for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exhausting. The second one is super interesting. I like this one a lot because especially with EDS, and this may be the case for some other chronic illnesses as well, our symptoms kind of flip-flop on a dime, and they change kind of just based on the day. So I like to say that for EDS, we wake up in the morning and we get to spin this wheel and we get 5 or 6 big complaints that we get to work with for that day.
Yep.
So changes in complaints are normal, and are not attention seeking or moving on to something else.
Right. So if the person in your life has a problem they complain about, it could go on for weeks or months and then just disappear.
Yep.
Because something else has come up, another pain, or it's fallen to the wayside.
Yep.
So it's not like they just got better. It's just everything has changed.
Yes, absolutely. For an example to that, I went through a period where my feet and my ankles were just absolutely awful. And I was like, I can't stand it one more day. And so I made an appointment and they did x-rays and they were like, it looks pretty normal, but let's have you do an MRI. And then by the time it was time to schedule the MRI, I was like, my feet are fine. I got other things I'm worried about now.
Mm-hmm. It happens a lot.
Yes.
It is the common occurrence.
Yeah. And it can be discouraging for the person with a chronic illness because we experience a lot of imposter syndrome around being chronically ill and especially appearing otherwise healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So
you want to go into imposter syndrome a little bit?
Sure. So imposter syndrome is the bane of my existence. So we generally as a society, and this generation especially, has kind of used imposter syndrome to express not feeling qualified for something that you're getting or the job that you're doing or things like that in social or professional spaces. But when we say imposter syndrome, what we are referring to is the thought that comes around, especially for us, around maybe we're not ill.
Right.
Maybe we are faking it. I don't know.
We can go months of being in pain and have one good day and then your brain will just assume that you're fine and that you've probably been faking it the whole time.
Right. Like, oh, I woke up this morning and I didn't hurt so much. Clearly everything else up until this point has been a lie that I told myself.
Or someone could say something that could really invalidate you and make you doubt yourself.
Right. Well, and it's hard because, especially with EDS, we have such a hard time getting a diagnosis that we hear a lot of no's before we ever hear the yeses.
Yep.
And then the yeses are questioned continually because all of those no's kind of echo in your brain. For us, my favorite example, and I'm sure your favorite example as well, is we've all had surgery. Well, we've both had surgeries. And in each surgery, and independent of one another, we didn't know the other was thinking this way until we kind of came together.
Yep.
When I had my shoulder done, my first surgery, I assumed that they cut me open, nothing was wrong, and they sewed me right back up and pretended just to shut me up.
Yeah, I've had that for every surgery.
Yes.
Like you come to, and that's your first thought is,
yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't do anything.
Right. Especially because it doesn't hurt as much as like people made it out to hurt. Yeah. So for us, we're like, take lots of pictures of the inside of me, please, because otherwise I won't believe that you performed anything.
It's that bad. Yeah. You can literally believe something you know is not true.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mental gymnastics for sure.
Oh yeah. My next one. When we're in the throes of pain or depression, depending on what it is,
both,
you can feel it can feel like it lasts forever and it has always been going on.
Right.
This happens to me a lot. If I have a bad day and I'm laying in bed and I'm trying to figure out what to do about it, what I can do, it just drags on forever, which makes me seem impatient, I guess. Like I can come across as more flippant.
I don't know that I could speak to that because I'm very much
you're very contained. Yeah.
Well, I'm very much the same way. Like,
oh yeah,
for me, when I'm having a really bad time, that's the point where I'm like question everything and go, I can't do this anymore. How am I going to make it another year, much less into retirement? I'm going to not be able to work anymore.
Yeah.
And it feels like forever. And it is in that moment, that experience is all there is.
Yep.
And so all the good stuff before disappears from sight. And just like with imposter syndrome, really, it's that like mental gymnastics that we go through where we're like, this is forever. It has always been, and it will always be. And it can be extremely discouraging to kind of fall into that. And so it's important to be aware of that. And maybe depending on your relationship, gently remind them that nothing is forever and things will change and get different.
The reminder does help, at least for me.
Well, and for us, but I think if someone else said it to you.
Right. You have to have that rapport.
Right. Because I think if the wrong person said it to me, I might just lose my mind.
It's
and
true.
Be like, oh, it's not forever. Be like, you have no idea.
You can also approach it a little differently. Like, presenting it as the current moment will pass. But
right. Well, and that's kind of how we do with one another, where we're like, buddy, this is right now and it's not forever, and you'll be okay.
Exactly.
Oh, it's my
Your
turn.
turn.
I'm so sorry. Along with kind of understanding and maybe reminding them that it's not forever, you can offer suggestions on things, again, depending on your relationship with that person. Because there's two kind of versions we have here. We have like what Jen does,
right,
where she runs through her like list of, I don't know, hierarchy of care needs, right? And then you have like, well, did you try this? Well, did you try that? Well, have you done this? Have you done that? Like, did you take Tylenol?
Right.
That's not so helpful.
No.
But what Jen does is a little bit different.
Right. She has like a list of like increasing measures to help me get through the bad times.
Yep.
It usually starts with something small, you know, like, did you take your meds? Did you drink water? Like, how are you feeling? You're not so much accusing me of anything,
right? But getting a measure,
to see where I'm at. Then we go up to comfort foods, which I love. It's my favorite phrase when we do comfort foods. And then sometimes it'll just be having her near me but not interacting.
Right, parallel play.
Yeah, I don't want to be alone, but I don't want to be interacting with people. Right.
Because in those bad times, I think it's important to note, in those bad times, because it is so draining, it takes a massive effort to A, make decisions, and B, like converse about things. And answering questions it can be really frustrating. And that's where you might see your chronically ill person kind of flare a temper at times. Because I know I do. I get like unreasonably angry when people try to ask me questions when I'm in pain.
Or just shut down because they don't want to get angry.
Right. Or isolate and things like that. But yeah, there are things that you can do. And offering just your support and your presence can be immensely helpful and kind of change the self-narrative for that person.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easy for us to kind of fall into like, well, I'm alone and nobody can help me, because obviously nobody can help you with like,
that's my favorite go-to phrase in my head. When
nobody can help me
like,
anyway.
There's no point to anything. No one can help me.
Yeah.
Which is not true.
Right.
And
those moments do pass, but in the moment, it's important to acknowledge the feeling and not judge it so much. So.
Is it my turn now?
It is your turn.
Oh, yeah. So along with that, I have to reread it again just to make sure I say it right. Allowing the person to hurt or feel bad without expectations. Yeah. Yep. So that's pretty much what we said almost already.
Yeah. So, and this one kind of goes into that, like, masking can rear its ugly head here too, because we can feel pressured to feel better. Right. Or like, if someone is trying to like fix us, or we perceive it to be someone is trying to fix us, and that our experience is an inconvenience,
then we'll try to
mask up, and we'll be like, haha, I'm fine now. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly.
Right. But we're going to feel safer, and we're going to appreciate it more if you come to that table with empathy and without expectations.
Yes.
And you let us
let them know.
Yeah. Let us feel the way that we need to feel, and acknowledge that feeling and validate that feeling, without any expectations to like suck it up or move on or feel better right away, because we'll mask it or we'll get angry or both.
Exactly.
Yeah. This kind of goes into spoon theory.
Oh, yeah.
And weather dependent.
Yes.
So do you want to explain weather dependent first?
Okay. Weather dependent is a system that I didn't come up with. People have been using it for years, but it's something that I've adopted.
Yeah.
For making plans in the future with my friends. I don't want to limit myself to not doing activities.
Right.
And I don't want them to stop inviting me to things. So we make plans weather dependent. Like, there was a movie I was supposed to see yesterday that was weather dependent. I wasn't able to do it because I was out of energy and I was in a lot of pain. But I was able to tell Harper, the friend, be like, I can't do it today. I'm sorry. And he understood. Like, he knows that I'm not blowing him off, but that I was
Yeah.
doing what's best for me in that situation.
Right. So setting things up with an out
Yes.
is huge. Like making sure that that person has a method of kind of gracefully bowing
Mhm.
out, because
There's no pressure that way.
right, exactly. And like the last thing we want to do is come off as flaky,
Mhm.
like, because that's not at all what's going on. So kind of offering that out in the very beginning makes it safer
Yeah.
to accept those invitations and try to be there.
Well, and it makes me more willing to try it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
just knowing that I can get out. It's like we said earlier.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. And that kind of goes into spoon theory and what that is. Not everybody uses spoon theory.
Mm.
Some people use different analogies or methods, but spoon theory is pretty widely accepted. And it's essentially that the idea that you wake up with a certain number of spoons every morning,
Mhm.
right? I think in the analogy, it's 12.
Yeah.
And so imagine waking up with 12 spoons every morning. But here's the thing. Every activity is going to cost you.
Mm-hmm.
So taking a shower, there's a spoon gone, right? Eating breakfast is a spoon,
Mhm.
right? You wouldn't think about these things necessarily as costing a lot of energy,
Mm-hmm.
but for a chronically ill person, they can
Right.
cost a ton of energy just to get up and take a shower. A shower is several mini tasks rather than one task.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on where you are, ow, cramp. Sorry, friends. I can't sit cross-legged anymore. It's not nice. Depending on where you are with how you're feeling, it could cost more spoons or fewer spoons
Mm-hmm.
to complete those activities. And so by the end of the day, you've lost a lot of spoons
Yeah.
to just basic daily tasks. And for those of us who work, it can be extremely draining. And then to add other things on top,
Mm-hmm.
generally what happens is known as spoon
Spoon debt.
debt.
Yep.
Which is where I live. I live in spoon debt. It's lovely. Spoon debt is when you are essentially borrowing energy from the next day. And then once you've borrowed those 12 spoons from the next day, you're borrowing from the next day and the
Mhm.
next day and the next day. And it takes rest. Rest is the only way to recoup some of those spoons
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of ease that spoon debt and that fatigue, because fatigue can be a really major factor.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yes. Did I hit that one okay? Or
Yeah,
you
that
wanna
was
go?
great.
Good.
No, I loved it. But
8.
we're on 8?
Yep.
Oh, I thought we were on isolation,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, you're right.
because otherwise it'd be you.
Aha. I don't know why I did both. Oh, it's because spoon theory was like a mini topic. That's
Yeah.
why. Haha. So the next one is kind of going with that draining piece, and we've kind of hit a lot of the ideas leading up to this, which I
Mhm.
think it's a good thing that we kind of hit all of that beforehand.
Yeah.
But having a chronic illness can be extremely isolating and lead to, and I really love this term, is chronic loneliness. Because it's extremely lonely to be an ill person in a world that is not made for us,
Mm-hmm.
in a world that expects a lot from us. And when we go through the world and we participate in the systems that are in place, we are sorry, I just lost hearing. Dang it.
EDS.
Ugh.
Not for kids.
Oh my God. Okay. So when we go through the world as an ill person, it's hard to spot other ill people. It's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to see the suffering all around us.
Everyone's
And-
masking.
Yeah, because we're all masking to try to participate in these systems that exist. And it's lonely. It's extremely lonely to feel like the only ill person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely lonely to think that no one is going to understand the effort that it takes for you to participate in those systems.
It can even happen within the communities of chronic illness.
Yes.
You'll have symptoms that you feel are yours and yours alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that just like puts a barrier between you and other people. Like they
Right.
couldn't understand,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know.
Which, I mean, part of our mission as fantastic pains and how we hide them is to start peeling back the hiding them piece and expose some of that suffering so that we can feel a little bit less alone. But for you, the ones that matter, it's important for you to know that we are lonely and we need your love and your support. And you are an extremely important piece in that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you.
I'm going to intro it and you're going to take over.
Okay.
So, along with all of everything we said, it should kind of be it should be built on explicit communication, meaning say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah.
There's no hinting, there's no roundabout talk. The best way to communicate with someone with chronic illnesses and have them respond is just be straightforward. If you have a question or something, just ask it.
Yeah.
There's no harm.
Right.
If you're overstepping your bounds, they'll let you know.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think everything that we've said so far kind of scaffolds itself, right? So adding in that explicit communication is going to give your chronically ill person room to be themselves and to express their needs and to better have their needs met in social spaces, which is hugely important because it's not always easy to tell people what you need and when you need it and how you need it.
Yeah.
So the more explicit you can be and the more explicit you can encourage them to be, the more understood each of you is going to be. And explicit communication is like that hill that I'm going to die on for sure. That is my baby right there. Communicate explicitly. Because yeah, it's hard to get your needs met. And as somebody who maybe is a caretaker or a friend to someone who's chronically ill, you may not always understand the motivations or the experiences. And so being able to just explicitly ask those questions and explicitly kind of guide them to, I don't know, identifying their needs.
Yeah, kind of help them get to where they need to be.
Right. And help them feel safe.
Yeah.
And that's a big piece, is that safety. And explicit communication provides a predictability and a structure to those relationships that is immensely comforting.
And with that comes active listening too.
Yes, absolutely.
Making sure that you hear what they say and assuming that they're being explicit, that they are telling you exactly what they need when they need it. Yes.
And yeah, and it helps to cut out that guessing game piece. Because sometimes you're like, oh, did they bail because they don't like the person I'm dating? Or did they bail because whatever it might be? It's easy to read into situations, even if there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So explicit communication helps to cut out all of that, which is great. And helps save spoons.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Because when you're in spoon debt, the last thing you want to do is play guessing games.
Yes.
Or
because social energy takes spoons.
Yes.
Social and emotional energy absolutely drains spoons. For sure. You're on our very last one.
Ooh. I like this one too. Remind them of their worth outside of what they can give you. So it goes with like expectations and the other piece you were saying before.
Yeah.
But they need to know they have value to you in just as they are.
Yes.
That you care about them, not because they can do something for you or because
they mask really well.
Right.
Or, like that person needs to know and wants to hear that they have implicit value to you and to others just because of who they are, rather than what they can do or how productive they can be or activity. Because it's easy to get down on yourself when you can't make it to all of the things, right? And you're not sure if everyone understands why. And
well, it helps build a safe space too that way.
Yes, absolutely.
The trust can be built, and it's, imagine like you have chores to do, you don't get them done, and then suddenly you're down on yourself. Yeah. And you're worried that your friend or your family is going to come down on you for it.
Right.
That's all internalized. That's coming from them alone. So letting them know that beyond that you care helps a lot.
Right. Yeah. absolutely. Well, and in building that safe space, you're going to allow them to take that mask off.
Yeah.
And again, that saves spoons, and it's going to improve your relationship immensely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to improve their engagement in that relationship immensely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've hit our last one there.
Yep.
I really hope that this was informational, but also that it helps you to better, it gives you a new lens to look at your chronically ill person.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to see things from a different angle.
Yeah.
And really, again, like our goal has always been to expose that suffering. And I think if we are creating safe spaces for people who have chronic illnesses,
mm-hmm.
we're going to start seeing ourselves in more people.
Yeah. I think that's it.
I think so. I think we've done it. So, thank you for coming along. I hope that you got something out of this. And to our chronically ill friends, I hope we did you proud and that this was useful and you're able to send it to somebody you care about.
If there's anything that we left out that you wanted to touch on, let's move the conversation to the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hop on there and we'll do episode discussion about it, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's a good tool to add on to this, which is a good tool.
Yes.
So,
well, and even if you don't yourself have a chronic illness, feel free to join our Discord.
Mm-hmm.
There's just wonderful. I can't ever say it enough how amazing the people are.
Yeah.
Like, they are fantastic and just kind and lovely.
Mm-hmm. Understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a space without judgment, and you can ask questions and
ask freely.
Yes, absolutely. And please don't ever feel like you can't ask questions. Like, always ask questions. Because if you don't understand something, odds are it's going to be a road, like a bump in the road.
It will be, yeah.
Yeah.
At some point.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming along. I'm really glad that we got to do this and give it that second try.
Yeah.
For all of you, because we really wanted to do it the right way and have it be something that we can put out there and be proud of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Which I think we did. Fingers crossed. But
like I said, we'll move to Discord. We've got all bases covered.
Yes.
So where can they find us?
Aha. You can listen to us anywhere you can find podcasts, except for
Apple.
Never Apple. Not Apple. You can watch us on YouTube. You can also see some silly stuff on TikTok. And then, of course, there is our Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything?
No, that's everything.
Awesome. Oh, yes. And find us on Teespring.
Oh, yeah. It's in the description. Get some of our merch.
Plug. And then let us know if there are other things that you would like to see on merch in the future.
Yes.
We are still working on the turtle.
Turtle designs incoming.
Yes. And I really want to get a design for a haunted body. Like, my body is a haunted house.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a fun one. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I really hope that we did you proud on this one. We're really excited. I really like the episode so far. So, fingers crossed. And I think until next time, be good to you, be good to others, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.